So Baldur's Gate 3, which is out, basically the game is huge. Like, I've watched so many videos about how big this game is. Apparently it has more dialogue than all of the Lord of the Rings movies put together.
Wow.
Dialogue. That might only be one of them, but it has more. It has so much dialogue. And the reason it has so much dialogue because you can talk to every single character, and most of those characters have conversation pieces. So let's say you're talking to a main person anyway. You can talk to them, and there's so many different conversations you can have with them, and every conversation has multiple choices that takes you different, conversational pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's so deep that basically the bad guys also have multiple choices because you can become a bad guy. So, and then it's like, okay, so you're talking to someone and let's say you're a druid, right? Oh, you're a druid. Okay, so all the animals now have dialogue points. And
damn.
And if you're a druid and you're talking to a person, if they're also a druid, you have druid dialogue points. Like, there's the this example. Basically, the reason why the game is so big, there's a castle, and or a room, and there's someone you need to talk to in the room, right? The room has a roof, the room has a window, and a door. Every entry point can lead to a different dialogue or different event. So rather than some games that go, okay, there's a roof here. What if players cast fly or whatever on themselves and manage to get on the roof? What are our options? And most game developers will go, we have a deadline, we have a budget, put an invisible wall there. Or say you can't fly, use the spell when you're in this place. Larian Studios, who was making this game, were like, nah, let's let them do it. But then let's put content there.
Okay.
But there's also like another option because you can just kill the person in the room if you want. Like, the game essentially lets you do whatever the hell you want in the D&D universe, as far as I've seen. As much as you can, and there's like there are very few blocks in it. And what it does is that it makes the game so big because it's just like, I think there are 4 or 5 acts, I'm not sure, but it's like a massive map and you can go around and do stuff anywhere in any order in whatever feeling you want to do. They even have like a mode called the Dark Urge mode, which is basically you play it as a Dark Urge. And what this does is that every time you do something, there are different dialogue options for your play because the Dark Urge has dark urges. So sometimes you'd be like, someone's hanging off a bridge and you have the option to like help them, but then the Dark Urge would be like, wouldn't it be really good if you cut off their arms and they fall off? And you have to roll to not...
Intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, basically Dark Urge is intrusive thoughts. So they had to make like the entire game multiple times for different play styles, for different people that want to do different things, for different races, different... It's so big. So the conversation about it anyway is that some developers from other game studios are saying, this is bad because it is giving people it's basically raising the bar, essentially. And that people are going to say this should be the standard for all developers. For all game people making RPGs, this should be your standard. It shouldn't be anything that you guys are doing. If these people can do it, why can't everybody else? And I understand what they're saying in the fact that this should not be the standard. And no one's saying, people are saying, maybe some people are saying, I don't think it should be the standard. I think this is what happens when a development company doesn't have any, because they have no outside investors. They know, other than people that like, I bought buying early access or whatever, which I bought early access. I'm sure people are investing, but they have no board. There's no board saying this game has to be released in this day.
So they can just keep going
for 6 years.
Okay.
Right. And they just said it'll be out when it's finished. When it's finished, it'll be out. And they do they've been doing yearly, like conferences and stuff, talk about it, show new stuff and so on and so forth. And I'm just saying that this is what happens when there is no capitalism investment going on, making deadlines shorter and cutting costs.
Yeah.
So it's like the standard isn't let's make games that are just stupidly huge. The standard is let's allow people to make good games. So we don't get stuff like what's that game?
Every Sonic game?
Cyberpunk, every Sonic game. It's not the Cyberpunk thing. Cyberpunk should have not been released the way it was released. It was broken and it was a mess. And there's so many things in it that they had to add later because they were forced to release. They lost so much, like, I think their stock dropped because
they never recovered, man. They did a Street Fighter 5. They just never.
And it's just like, yeah. And it's
even
like,
though the game is actually,
the game is actually playable and it
doesn't matter.
But that doesn't matter. No. So it's like the conversation people saying like, oh, this Larian is setting like a really unrealistic standard for video games now. And it's like, no. Larian has said this is what games should be. This is what video games should be. It should be like someone saying, I have this idea and I want to do this. And it's not saying like, oh, do everything that Larian Studio has done, but you shouldn't be like, oh, we have to make our game less because, if we make it too good. It's literally saying, people saying, don't make your games it shouldn't be allowed to make your games good. It's the most like dumbest. But anyway, that's the very long summary of what that's about.
Okay. So people are just basically saying that they're worried that the bar has been set too high.
Yeah. Developers.
And this is what developers are saying, not the consumers.
Not all of them. But some big developers have said, they've tweeted and retweeted saying, yes, that, people shouldn't be expecting this quality or this size of a game from smaller studios, essentially.
Well, would you call the developers of Baldur's Gate small?
They're not small.
Are they small?
Larian Studios is quite big because they're big now because they made loads of good games.
Right.
Games. They made, have you heard of Divinity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so they made that. They made 1 and 2, obviously. They made some other stuff, and they had to get the license to make Baldur's Gate 3 because Baldur's Gate, they exist. And they basically, the reason why they can do this is because they make good games. So it's like, that's why they could do it. It's not like they started off, it wasn't like the first game they made was Baldur's Gate 3 and they got shitloads of money and then decided to stay. No, they started from small and then just was like, and then raised the bar as they went along.
Right.
Which is one thing that's really stupid about this conversation. It's like, yes, we're not saying every game should be like, because not all games will have this much quality because of resources, but we shouldn't be shitting on a video game that's going to be good because it's good. Like, it's just like,
it sounds a bit crazy to me.
It's not by force. You don't want to make a big game, don't make a big game. There's some people that like very short games, 10, 15, 20 hours.
Yeah.
It'll be a harder sell to give it, like, to sell it as a full price.
Yeah.
Why would I buy a full price game that's less than 20 hours? You're probably not going to do that, but do what you want, man. As long as the game is good, who cares?
Yeah.
There's Rayman Legends was like, how many hours was it? 15 hours. Didn't have much of a storyline, but a lot of people like rank it as a cult classic because it was just phenomenal gameplay. Same for, I don't know how big Sonic Mania was. I don't think it was that large either.
Sonic
Mania.
Oh.
I don't think it was that big a game. But then there was DLC and stuff and extensions.
So I think it's the big message for me in this thing is just make good games.
Don't take your time. When you take your time.
Unfortunately, that's not how the industry works.
And you don't kill your staff, then
just because you want to meet deadlines that are unreasonable,
unrealistic.
People want.
the CD Projekt Red paid for that. I mean, they did it twice and they didn't learn the lesson. So,
what was the first game they did it on?
Witcher 3, and it ended up being good.
Oh, really?
They had the same, they had the same developer. That's why some people back before them didn't think Witcher 3 was going to be good because they had so many issues and, kind of crushing development and stuff like that, but it ended up being great. Then they thought they could get away with it again with Cyberpunk and ended up being a flop. So,
I want to just correct what I said about actually, no, I'm not correct. I'll say it has 174 hours of cinematics, making it more than twice the length of every season of Game of Thrones combined.
Wow.
But you won't ever see all of them in one playthrough.
Well, it's a live service, isn't it? It has to be. No, it has to be.
What do you mean
you're telling me you just pay?
You pay the game. You buy the game, and that's it. You buy the game, and you have the game.
Jesus, wow, that's crazy, man.
It's not a live service. It's not. You don't pay monthly. Wow. This is what games are supposed to be.
That's crazy, bro.
They're gonna make so much money.
I hope they do,
Wow.
man. I hope they do.
People that like Brian Rock, he doesn't even like this kind of games. He's like, every YouTuber I'm watching is telling me that this game is going to be sick and I should buy it.
I would love to play if
he's
not.
bought it.
But
Yeah, I think we should all play it together. But yeah,
it's a shame it's not on PC. It's not on
It's coming on
console, man.
PS5.
Let's come on PS5.
Ah, is it?
Oh damn!
Okay.
Coming
All
on
right,
PS5.
let me.
Crossplay.
Buy it.
You can play
Crossplay,
on PS4.
yeah?
It's
Oh,
crossplay.
damn.
All right, let
You can
me
play
let
on
me
Oh,
check
PS5.
it
we're about to
out.
come there still.
Yeah, man's about to come through.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out to the gates of Baldur.
Well, I think
Yeah,
PS5
man.
version's coming out
Kick
later
some
than the
tunes off
PC
stretch.
version.
Oh, that's cool.
Just give it
Okay.
to all my intrusive thoughts.
Like literally, just go and just do a little bit of research on this game because it's going to be freaking.
Wow.
I'm like,
All right,
I'm really
we'll do
hoping
that.
that there'll be
I'm
any
gonna look
big
into
issues
it.
with Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
look
gonna
into
say,
it's,
man,
it's
I'm
on
gonna.
Steam. It's going to be. It's on. You can play on. I have a Steam Deck. You can play on Steam Deck. Like you can play it on PS5, and if you own it on Steam and a PS5, it saves your data between the both.
Wow.
They are just doing so much.
That's
Okay,
so
sick.
When's
Okay.
it coming
much.
out, man? Let me see.
5 days.
PC one
5
is
days?
coming out this week. The one for PS5 is slightly later,
Okay.
I think, because the reason why it's slightly later. Actually, let me rephrase. Because I know they had issues with the Xbox release because Xbox have a rule that you can't release a game on their current consoles without it being backwards compatible with like
Okay.
Series X. And currently they're having issues doing split screen on Series X. So that's why it's delayed
Yeah,
some console release.
it's coming out September for the PS5.
Yeah, so it's okay, really late
It's just a month. It's not
because
that
of
long.
Xbox.
Yeah, no worries.
That's the reason.
All right, cool. That'll be something to add to the list.
Oh, great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, make
Nice.
good games, man. Run it.
That's all you
No,
need
but
to do.
Elden Ring came out. I don't really get the backlash. Elden Ring came
Yeah,
out.
Elden Ring got
was
backlash
huge.
as well. Elden Ring got
Yeah,
backlash.
that's true.
Remember,
For being
where-
good.
then basically it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, for being good. And then it's like,
Oh, these
I think
children.
The person that I watched who was talking about this thing did make comparisons to how the similar developers making complaints about the success of Elden Ring.
Because what? They want to make Candy Crush.
It's
what's the
it's
problem?
like I don't understand. Like basically,
No,
I can
man,
understand.
it's
Like
mad,
they said,
isn't
like
it?
basically, like like Toby said, a similar thing where he's like the quest system isn't very clear, which I can agree with. I kind of feel they did it on purpose, and you kind of argue like, is that good game design or is that not? But someone retweeted to that tweet basically saying, if Bethesda made Elden Ring and it's literally just like the whole screen is just loads of of UI icons everywhere, and the map is just at the top right, and it's just like, yeah, there is a standard that is being used to maybe do games now, but it's not like it's bad. Like, I like Horizon. I think it's very, very good. There is something to be said about the fact that Elden Ring has a similar open world experience, and I preferred the exploration of Elden Ring compared to Horizon, even though I really like Horizon. But the sense of wonder, like you go up, like you don't have to, you never once have to sort of get altitude to see where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of go like, oh, there's stuff over there. I'm just going to get there as easy as I can. Like, I don't care about how I get there. I'll just teleport even if I can. You know what I mean? Like, you just go. But in Elden Ring, you just like, Elijah, you're just like in the world and you're like, I see that thing over there. What's that thing?
Yeah,
And you don't need to look at your map and go, is that thing a thing?
Mm.
You know what I mean? You just go.
You just kind of go there and see.
You just go and then you see what happens. And you get interrupted on the way or whatever. You find things on the way and it's part of the like, but in the Horizon, you go, I'm going to go to this thing. And maybe you map out things to do in between, but you generally just want to go for that thing. You don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt about Zelda as well. When Breath of the Wild, I'll just see something in the distance. I'll be like, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I could climb there. So I'll do that.
And of course, you're going to get people that, if games start doing what Elden Ring do, they'll be like, oh, I want more arrows. Why is there nothing clear? You can't please everybody, unfortunately.
You can't please everyone, man.
No, you
It's
can't.
just even
You
for
can't
you,
please
it's not.
everybody, unfortunately. But but that's what that was about.
Oh, that's really interesting. Damn. Well, I guess I'm getting Baldur's Gate. How much is it? 200 quid?
I think it's probably like in the 40, 50 mark, probably.